What does it mean to be a leader? Being a leader means respect, both for the person in the leadership role and for those whom they are leading. Everyone wants to be treated with respect, but respect is something that must be earned, and this comes from being respectful to others. Regardless of the role one has in the organization or the status they hold among others, leadership begins with valuing the contributions of everyone and recognizing that everyone has a place on the team. The Center for Creative Leadership states it this way: at its core, respect is a continuous process of paying attention to people. Leaders must avoid making assumptions that, if unchecked, can lead to understandings or misunderstandings and ineffective behaviors. Cultivating a climate of respect requires intentional action from every leader and the organization itself. Let's unpack this a little bit. Leaders pay attention to people in a manner that lets them know they are valued. Even the most introverted of us seek attention at some point or another. But attention is a commodity that we rarely give others, and when we do, it is often not with our full presence. Paying attention and listening allows you to focus on the present and fosters gratitude from others. It can expand your perspective, encourage curiosity, and remind us that the little things in life matter. Paying attention is a choice we make and one that should be a part of every leadership practice. Leaders avoid making assumptions. Making assumptions is a problem for anyone who does it, but it can be very detrimental to leadership. Think about some common assumptions you experience in the organizations you work for or have worked for, such as, we've always done things this way and it's worked just fine. Don't even bother suggesting that, they'll never listen. Or you've got to watch out for yourself, no one else will watch out for your interests. Such assumptions as these in our organizations limit creativity, undermine trust, and hinder the way that people work together. As leaders, we need to identify and challenge the assumptions that are interfering with how our team members work together and how they operate. While not all assumptions are problematic, the key is that we must be aware that we are constantly making assumptions and not make decisions based on those assumptions. Leaders are intentional in their actions. Being intentional comes down to 4 things that leaders should do. Leaders should be deliberate in their actions and decisions. Leaders should ensure those actions and decisions align with a strong, well-articulated vision. When faced with challenges, leaders should not leave things to chance or assume that they will get better on their own. And leaders should engage without micromanaging or being controlling. Being intentional means empowering and championing others and creating a climate of trust within the organization. Now let's consider effective leadership versus ineffective leadership. There are those that will tell you that leadership is a born trait, and others who argue that leadership must be learned. I'll tell you that it absolutely must be learned. There is no one who is born with an innate ability to lead. Furthermore, leadership is not a one-size-fits-all solution, and there is no magic formula for being an effective leader. It takes commitment and time to build the trust necessary to inspire others to achieve your vision. And this inspiration can come in many forms. But there are 3 characteristics that I think must be present to be an effective leader: resilience, courage, and humility. Resilience is the resolve to pursue goals despite the obstacles that inevitably get in the way. In leadership, this can mean navigating through challenges and inspiring others with conviction. There are several ways leaders can demonstrate resilience. First, remain coachable, regardless of your position. Always be self-reflective and open to feedback. Second, be comfortable saying, "I don't know," if that's the honest answer. No one expects you to know everything. Third, invest in the development of others. Build the capacity of your team so you don't have to navigate the challenges all alone. Finally, be willing to embrace change. Having an openness to opportunities is always important for leaders. Courage isn't a natural response to difficult situations and decisions. It's a learned and practiced one. Displaying courage as a leader requires overcoming our natural tendency to avoid conflict and seek an easy solution. Think fight or flight. As Aristotle said, courage is the mother of all virtues, because without it, you cannot consistently perform the others. To be an effective leader, you must be willing to take that first step towards something. There is a chance you could fail or make the wrong decision, but there is also the opportunity to do something great. You must also be willing to let others lead when the timing or situation requires. Giving up control is hard for some of us, but necessary for effective leadership. Finally, you must be willing to say what must be said. Speaking with conviction, clarity, and transparently is an engaging way to lead effectively. A healthy dose of humility is a respected leadership trait. There is some research to support the idea that humble leaders had higher performing teams. American leadership author Rick Warren said, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less." When we lead with humility, we consider the opinions of others before our own. Think about it. Who wants to work with someone who always has the best or right idea without ever considering other ideas? You also act with self-awareness, understanding how our words, actions, and decisions impact those around us. Humility is a form of inclusion where we work to ensure others have a voice. Finally, you lead from a spirit of generosity. Don't abuse your authority. Look to promote others and model integrity and trust. So what does ineffective leadership look like? Considering what was stated above, it begins with rigidity and an inability to adapt to the leadership needs of the organization. It's succumbing to the obstacles that get in the way. It can also be timidity and a hesitancy to act. When we are unable or unwilling to make timely decisions or let failure stop us, we become ineffective leaders. Pride is also a hallmark of an ineffective leader. Self-esteem is important, but we must guard against self-importance. A few other traits of ineffective leadership include avoiding conflict, fostering unhealthy competition, focusing exclusively on what's wrong, and controlling everything. Ineffective leadership can create an environment where there is a poor team chemistry, ineffective communication, and high turnover. Now on to authentic leadership. It is important to not think of leadership in terms of being good or bad, and thus the use of the terms effective and ineffective above. But taking this idea a little further brings us to the concept of authentic leadership, which, in many ways, is good leadership. A simple yet profound way to think about authenticity is found in a quote by Oscar Wilde, where he stated, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken." According to the Harvard Business Review, authenticity in the workplace leads to benefits such as better relationships with colleagues, higher levels of trust, greater productivity, and a positive working environment. Expand this to the leadership level, and these benefits are exponentially greater. Authentic leaders have integrity and make decisions based on intrinsic values versus extrinsic rewards. Let's explore the three characteristics of authentic leaders: empathy, accountability, and emotional intelligence. There is a historic but hopefully outdated idea that effective leadership requires strong personalities and assertive action. While there is nothing wrong with either of these, effective leadership is a balance of many leadership traits, as we have been discussing. A helpful way to balance these traits is through empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, and empathetic leadership helps leaders understand their team members' thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Leading with empathy motivates and inspires teammates, prevents stress and burnout, and ultimately produces a better team. One of the most challenging things a leader must do is take accountability for their actions, both good and bad. The definition of accountability from the Online Business Dictionary states this: the obligation of an individual or organization to account for its activities, accept responsibility for them, and to disclose the results in a transparent manner. Simply put, leaders must take full ownership of their actions and decisions. Accountability leads to better communication, improved trust, deeper relationships, and decreased mistakes. And accountability is contagious, meaning that if the leader is infected, it will be transmitted to the team. The ability to experience and express emotions may be more important than you realize. But as leaders, it is important that we express emotions in a healthy and appropriate manner. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. Emotionally intelligent leaders understand the impact emotions have on the team and utilize self-regulation strategies to manage their emotions and the emotions of others. In an emotionally intelligent environment, it is important to pay attention to what is said and what goes unsaid. Observing and responding to nonverbal communication and micro inequities can increase trust and build team cohesion. So in conclusion, what does it mean to be a leader? Maybe one answer is effective leadership is only achieved when a leader can clearly communicate their vision, provide constructive feedback to team members, and negotiate with other leaders to achieve desired results. But maybe the simple answer is that effective leadership begins with the leader effectively managing oneself. Consider the words of Mahatma Gandhi: keeping your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive because your behavior becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny. If we can live and lead by these words, we will be well on our way to becoming effective leaders.